Welcome to You Can Learn Guitar. Now, this is going to be a simple lesson, but really take this to heart if you're a beginner out there, because this is one of the major stumbling blocks with students I see. They want to strum, but they just don't have practical exercises to help them. So, let's see if this is going to work. Click that link down below. There could be some cool stuff. You never know. There's always something cool. So just click it because it's the right thing to do. But let's go into a little exercise and make us all strummers and hopefully better singers. All right, let's zoom in. All right, so strum patterns, obviously are made up of, kind of rhythmic patterns or such and so forth, right? We got quarter notes, eighth notes. So quarter notes are like, eighth notes would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then there's 16th notes. Right? They're just different subdivisions of time. So what we're going to work on today is going to be eighth notes to our strum patterns, right? So what I want you to do, or if you want to do, is get a blank sheet of paper, and we're going to work in groups of 4. But I want you to write out like it's an eighth note. So I want you to write 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the number 1, space, and number 2, space, and, right? So we're going to basically have 8 hits. Now the 1 or 2 or the numeric values are going to be downstrokes, and the ands are going to be our upstrokes, okay? So what we're going to do is we're just going to take one chord, right? Now if I just took that A and did just the numeric values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Or if I did all of them and I went 1 and 2, it'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now that right there can be a strum pattern in and of itself, right? But what you typically hear are different accents, based on that kind of theme. A lot of strum patterns are actually based on 16th note patterns, but we're going to break it down really simple and do 8th note patterns. And what we're going to do is we'll pick let's say 1, 2, and 3, and 4, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to count it aloud. I really want to stress the importance of counting in the beginning when we're trying to establish, time and feel and rhythm. So if we took an A chord and we did 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now you can put all the ands in there, but those are the ones I'm actually going to accent. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, right? And right at the last one, I skipped one. So what we can do is get a red marker and we can mark so we have a visual representation of the strum pattern we're going to do. And it helps us to visualize where our arm needs to go. Because a lot of times in the beginning you want to keep your arm moving because people will lose rhythm if they don't have something to either say and count or like a metronome and play to, right? So the whole object is to establish rhythm. So we got 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and, right? See, my arm keeps moving. Now, in the beginning, I stopped it, but it's easier for me to catch because I've been doing it for a while where I'm going. But in the beginning, it was really difficult for me to you'd be like 1, 2, and, and your arm's like, what am I supposed to be doing, right? So we're gonna do 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, right? 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, right? Now what we can do is take that A chord and we can break the pattern up. So we can do 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and, right? So we got 1, right? So that together kind of sounds like a strum pattern, right? Right, now that would be maybe some place where you would want to change chords at that point. So we take a D, right? So if I did this exact same pattern on A and D, it's going to start to sound like this. So we got... Right, now I messed up the pattern or whatever, but what I did was when I went to the D chord, I just doubled my second pattern. Now all of a sudden, we're starting to develop some sort of rhythm. So instead of just going... Right, we're going to do this with our skips. Right, so now it's like starting to become a song. So that's just an easy way, right, or easier way to visualize. You know, you have a piece of paper in front of you, one and, right? The numbers are down, the ands are upstrokes, and you can just see exactly what you're supposed to do as we're going by. You know, pick 3 chords, start with 1, get that down, then switch between 2, then switch between 3, right? And before you know it, you basically will have a song. Now, for each chord, you can totally, you know, try to trick your brain and totally change up the pattern. So I would do 1 row across of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then do like, you know, 8 down of the exact same thing and just circle. So you can go through 8 bars essentially of different patterns or 2 patterns, you know, per bar or whatever you want to do to just try to get, you know, rhythm established in this hand, right? You know, oftentimes people can start to get the chord switches down pretty good, but it's this part that starts to give them trouble. Now, you can also do the same thing with single notes, right? You can be like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and, right? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and, right? E. Right? Or whatever you want. And so you can start to mix it up not only with strum patterns, but single notes as well, you know, arpeggiating a chord, right? All does that mean? That big fancy word means is playing the notes of a chord separately. Right? So what we can do also is, you know, everybody seems to have a phone these days. Get an app that has a metronome on it. Lots of the metronome apps have 8th note subdivision already in there. So in that case, what I want to stress is not only put it on, you know, put it on for like 70 beats per minute or whatever, but then I want you to vocally, and this is really important, vocally say the time along with the metronome, along with strumming, right? Get the counting in the brain. Now, eventually we're going to stop counting with our mouth and basically count in our head until we can just listen to the metronome alone and then, you know, keep time. But for now, try that out. You know, it really helps or has helped a lot of my students that I've had because it gives them kind of a visual thing and they don't think so much about their arm. They get to look at something and actually just play because they can see what they're supposed to be doing. Just as long as you remember is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So the ands are the upstrokes. So you can write that even on the top of your paper as well. You know, numbers down, ands up. So then, after a while, you can keep the 8th note thing going. You switch between 3 chords. start to develop strum patterns. And how you interpret the rhythm really, changes the feel of this song. So mess around. I mean, you can really, right? Eighth notes can also be muted downstrokes, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and, right? Right, and different dynamics. We can add the little power hits. Right, now we always don't have to be starting on a downstroke. We can start on an and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and more that kind of reggae feel or whatever. So experiment with that, have some fun with it. One thing I want to stress too, or another thing I should say, I've stressed a lot of things. I don't want to stress you out. But anyways, keep a positive attitude. Guitar's fun. We all have stumbling blocks. It took me forever to even be able to do anything on guitar. But I just kept with it. I saw my friends were having fun. They were learning all these cool songs. Just kind of find what works for you. Don't get discouraged. Have fun and do some strumming, man. It's where it's at. 9 times out of 10, it's the strummy songs everybody loves to hear. So let's all get better at strumming and have some fun.